work that I'm making kind of goes in a lot of different directions, but I was mainly looking at weird and uncanny things, similar to Francis Bacon, mixing that with cartoonish types of forms. I'm trying to figure out the combination between that. I was interested in like layers of material, layers of mediums, layers of subject matter. Subject matter was a combination of like things that I saw around Lisbon, merging the neon colors that I like to use with kind of the pastel colors of Lisbon. So a lot of these were inspired by people that I saw on the streets of Lisbon, photographs that I got at a flea market, and a stray cat that I got to pet. But they all are inspired somehow by dreams or like bulbous types of shapes. A lot of these were inspired by the juxtaposition of high frequency energy versus calmness. So a lot of my pieces that were made on raw canvas I call like high frequency, and a lot that are more traditional on the traditional canvas are like low frequency. I'll just go through some.
And so, what makes you decide like the cat had twisted legs? How do you arrive at the twists in leg? Because none of the others have got twisted legs. So, what sort of makes you imagine the legs twisting in this way? How do you arrive at that twisting action?
It's basically just my ideas of motion. I just try to imagine how things exist in the motion of the world.
And I'm curious, when you speak about low frequency and high frequency, it's just about the rhythm, or it's about also an idea that comes faster and needs to be put there in a quicker way, and other are more thought through from drawings? I don't know, I'm like,
Oh yeah. Kind of both. I mean, high frequency in terms of the energy that the actual painting shows. You can see a lot of the movement. A lot of the work that I made before coming to Zaratan was like movement focused. It was a lot of dancers and like seemed like when it was a girl tumbling. And so I like the kind of this one. I try to show like the movement that's happening around the subject. Maybe it's with these other ones. Like this, you can kind of see the movement happening around the subject, and not just within the subject, but it's kind of melding between what's within and outside of. So
it's a little bit like Van Gogh, when you see the trees, there's like a vibrational aspect. But this has got material that looks like it's leaving the body. And that's interesting because it's not staying with it. So if something was like bending a tree or someone was moving, you'd imagine, but this is actually fragmenting off. So how does that arise? What makes you do that?
The easy answer is that's how I feel sometimes, but it comes from dreams, and I mean, as generic as a statement of like the experience of life. I mean, yeah, thinking about how you can, like, I don't know, different moments of things that hit you much harder and versus moments where things feel a lot slower.
Yeah.
And, you know, time also plays a part. Like in this one, you can see how the person was like moving his or her arm.
Yeah.
And so it kind of moves through time in a way.
Yeah.
What's really striking for me, particularly in the direction in your last two paintings that had a more realistic feel, is that you're speaking about the uncanny and you're speaking about dreams, and yet there is such a sense of presence grounded in reality here, and it seems very like it's the uncanny as part of the everyday existence in a way that a lot of kind of representations or explorations of that kind of theme take it somewhere else.
Yeah.
And that's really striking, the way that it feels very embodied.
Yeah.
And there is that Bacon-esque background where
You move into
where it feels like it's he called it structured chaos.
Yeah, exactly.
And so there's this anchoring. You know, even in this one, you've got lines at the back that sort of there's something there that isn't moving against the things that are moving. So yeah, I do see a lot of Bacon in those of us.
Yeah, Bacon is a huge.
Yeah,
huge
and for me too. Yeah.
And the last two works, which is the last one of this one, I was going more towards realism.
Yeah, you are. Yeah.
Yeah, trying to like merge the kind of fantasy, cartoony with more of a realistic level, which I was trying to do before, but for whatever reason, these just took more of a hold in reality.
something about absorption,
Yeah.
that coming in, doing it.
I was quite surprised about the quantity of work you've been producing in a short period. Like, half of the pieces are not in exhibition because they didn't fit, or it was such an overproduction in a tiny studio that probably I'm curious about. Do you always work like this, or do you really use this residency, or how is your daily running every morning during most since a while? My perception is often it's a situation where you try to adapt, and also, for example, we were speaking about how to transport the work and how there is a limitation that is physical and time-based. And I'm curious if you can tell us something about your practice back in New York and how it works, and maybe also some, if you can speak about, which is something I ended up working with Steven, which is how you collaborate as an artist. Because I think being an artist is a very solitary position, and we always need to have a kind of a net or to a lot of questions. Sorry.
Yeah. As far as the amount of work, that's pretty normal, I would say. My studios were in New York and North Carolina have been pretty overcrowded in the same way. Full of work, mostly because I don't know, there's some kind of like, I mean, obviously there's the need to, like most artists have the sort of satisfaction of making things. So it really comes from like multiple ideas and multiple like things that I want to make, and maybe multiple things inspire me at one time. So I want to have like this type of work at this time, and then I have a different idea that maybe is kind of similar, but a little bit, different enough to where I want to make a couple different pieces like that. And maybe I'll make a background and then put it away for a while and come back to it, and maybe I'll do a layer over here and a layer over there and a layer here, because sometimes things need to dry, or like I don't feel like painting today, so I just want to make drawings, and then I want to make a bunch of drawings like this. So yeah, it's pretty all over the place.
But that require a lot of discipline, like it's something you ask yourself, or it's very natural?
It's pretty natural. Like even here, I spent a lot of time exploring Lisbon and like really trying to make, like, I wanted to see all the neighborhoods and the museums and everything, but then I also wanted to make a lot of work. So it goes back and forth, I would say, trying to find a balance.
And this probably brings us back to the idea of how much do you need an external eye, or how does your practice work in your normal environment in terms of collaboration or artistic pairs?
Yeah. In New York, I was a part of a couple of art collectives, and I had for a long time, my studio was like in my house, in my apartment, so like half of my room would be my studio and half would be my bedroom, and I was in school, so like a lot of my classmates were coming in, and we would make work at school too, and then we would bring it back home and work a little bit. And then the collectives I was a part of, we had a shared studio. So the work would kind of be interspersed with each other, so that was a great way to like look at other people's work and get inspired. And like everything was kind of together. It wasn't like having my own studio. And then in North Carolina, after COVID, I had a studio in North Carolina where I had my own room. So it was a little more solitary there as well. But really the collectives in New York were how I got most of my, like being around other people creating is definitely another, like solitary is great, I like to be alone as well, but more so being with other people who are creating things is more interesting.
And so how long would it take to make something like that, just loosely, because you make so much? It just seems like almost like you dash it down to remember. You said about dreams, you know, when you wake up and you remember dreaming, it seems very, very, you couldn't imagine forgetting this dream, and then 5 minutes later it's just evaporated, and it has that intensity as if you're feverishly trying to capture something. You know, when you see, because they're not allowed to take photographs in courtrooms, and so they'll have an artist in there and they'll draw inside the courtroom, and it has that sort of get down the nub of the thing, you know, and it has that intensity about it. It's got real energy. So is it as fast as it looks, or is it?
I mean, part of the problem is that I get bored of a painting really quickly.
Wow.
So I used to do in high school, I would do these really meticulously realistic oil paintings that would take me months.
Wow.
And it was just so boring after a while. I really like making really fast, I like the expression more than the reality.
Yeah.
So I like the hints of reality because then you can kind of see where you're getting it. But if you just try to copy reality, there's no point because it's already there. And so the fastness, I think is exciting.
Yeah.
You can also capture like the essence of something a lot
Yes, you
easier
can.
if you do like a fast line versus if you like, even if you do a slow line, you can't handle it.
Yeah, but this is intense. The girl looks like she's been, we've caught her with a boy, almost like her parents had found her, and she looks a bit, she's a little bit, I don't know, there's some tension there. And then the boy looks really angry because he looks like, my God, this intrusion on our space. So you've really caught something, because you've got the sort of, I don't know, it's a real, the girl is very, she's almost pleading, and the guy is angry, somehow to me. It's just my take on it, but you've really got those two different things, and yet the bodies are quite calm and stationary, and it's an amazing piece though. I love it.
Something interesting, and I don't know if you feel it, but first of all, it's very difficult to decide where a painting is finished. Like, where is the point when I will not touch them anymore?
Yeah.
And I think the way you mix these native canvas with the old technique, there is something that you can always go back and return and reactivate it. For me, it's super fascinating because there is some cleanliness and some very sharp precision mixed with some openness. And I wonder how is your decisional process about a painting is concluded, or if it happens to you that you go back to it and change it. I want to keep it.
I mean, one of my friends told me once, like, to look at a painting, like, not what is it done, but what does it need. So, like, I feel like if I look at something and it feels like it needs something, then I'll keep adding something. But if it feels like it says enough, or it doesn't need anything else, then maybe it's done. But I also have an issue of sometimes going too far. So sometimes I'll do something to a painting and then it'll be too much and I'll wish that I'd gone back. Because sometimes even simple can be better. So I think, yeah, I go back and forth between it can be very simple and say a lot, and then you can have these little like pockets of detail or interest, and then you can kind of give the eye a break, like a respite, like the unfinished canvas can be a nice respite.
This is making me think of something I really liked that the artist Eva Hester said.
Yeah.
But she really liked the ick zone, where things like did something to your inside, and when something was overworked, she would say it left the ick zone and moved into the beauty zone. Like that was the place you absolutely had to avoid. So like, what does it need? It needs to stay in the ick, but also feel resolved within that. And anyway, what you said just made me think there's something about the empty bits of empty canvas and untied, and like, there's something kind of like it gets your innards about your work, but they're not beautiful. But there's a beauty in this kind of.
That's what I like. Yeah.
For sure.
And Francis Bacon, I think, he also like wanted to get your
system said.
But the line that you don't cross is the line where it takes it into something beautiful or something just
exactly.
aesthetic.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you share with us what will come next?
So next month I'm going to Iceland for another artist residency. It's in the town of Skagastrand. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but it's on the north coast of Iceland, a small fishing village. So I used all my canvas here, so I'm not going to be doing canvas paintings.
Practical.
Yeah, so I have a lot of paper, so I think I'll be doing like either oil on paper paintings in the same type of way, or gouache on paper, or ink on paper, but the same types of like sporadicness, I guess.
Thank you, Anna.
Yes, very good.